I do want to do a little bit of a disclaimer here. So, commentary made on this channel are the opinions of the host and guests only. If you agree or have an opposing opinion, you are welcome to contact the host at ohhellno.3100@gmail.com to discuss civilly. Keyword there, discuss civilly. But the sudden turn of people who disagree with someone deciding to threaten them. Well, why would you do that? I mean, seriously, folks, come on. Are we children? There is no need to threaten people because you don't agree with what they're saying. Why would you even think to threaten someone? As I recall, back in December, Liz Ferris got death threats from people. Really? And I wanted to do something at that time, but chose not to. But now all of a sudden we have threats against Reese and Tommy and against Marilyn. Now, Reese and Tommy have done their own thing, and there's no secret that Tommy has a past. He's moved on with his life. He is doing such work, good work, great work in the area of addiction that to threaten him is ridiculous. He's moved on from all of that. And so you're going to plant drugs on him while he's on a cruise ship in international waters to try to arrest him? Seriously? And Reese is recently out of the cult and has come so far in the year and a half that she's been out. She's made great friends. She's done great content. She doesn't even really tackle these things, and she's certainly staying out of all of this garbage going on in the community with people hating people and saying terrible things and trolling each other's chats. Yet somebody decides they're going to threaten her as well. Why? What has she done that really and truly deserves a threat? Absolutely nothing. She actually has a channel that if you're tired of all this crap that's going on within the community, to go to and actually have a little bit of fun. She puts her life story out there. Anything that happens with her, she puts out there and she talks about it. And she's funny. And put the two of them together, their comedic timing's amazing. And they've stayed out of all of this crap. So why in the heck are we having people in the background not even brave enough to come and say something to their face? Why? Because we have a whole bunch of, I'm going to use this term, and it's only for those who are back there being jerks and doing these things and spreading rumors and trying to destroy creators within this community. We have these keyboard warriors who are comfortable sitting behind their keyboards and their monitors, and they're willing to say anything. But if you met them face to face, I guarantee they would be the meekest, wouldn't say a word, would smile to your face, act like your friend while they're stabbing you in the back. This is ridiculous, folks. Why has this world become a place that's either it's my way or the highway? Part of the great thing about being part of the human race is you're allowed to have differing opinions, differing thoughts. That's what makes this world go round, folks. If everybody thought the same thing and believed the same thing, it would be boring. What would we talk about, for Christ's sakes? Am I angry about this? You bet I am. I'm trying not to drop any cuss words. We'll see if I succeed. But I'm livid. I cannot believe that we have come to the point within this community, this little microcosm of what the world is like, to the point where we can't even have discourse without having discord. We can't talk to each other without agreeing to disagree. It is like we are so polarized within this entire big wide world, not to mention this little community. We're so polarized that we can't even talk to each other. We can't have civil conversations. No, we have to go behind each other's backs and say things and make people believe things and whisper in the background. That's stuff you do in junior high, people. Are we all 15, 13 before we realized what the big wide world was about? When things were easy, mom and dad paid our way. We were allowed to say whatever we wanted because God knows we had mom and dad's backing. Folks, we don't have that anymore. We're adults. We need to start acting like adults. We need to start talking to each other like adults. So what we're talking about, I don't know if you saw what it was, but it was about all these threats that are going around.
Yeah, I really don't get what. Can you just give me a quick rundown? What the hell is going on?
Okay, well, remember back in December, there was all the death threats against Louis Ferris.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't know any better about details, just some rumor. Okay.
yeah, it had to do with the Howard Stern discussion between Carrie and Liz, and the whole big thing with Nora. But anyway, and she got death threats, and she went offline for a little while,
Yeah.
and then came back on later after Carrie did her come on and say it was my fault.
Oh, that. Yeah. Now
Yeah,
I get.
all
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
And then we didn't see a whole lot for a while, but recently, Reese and Tommy have gotten threats. In fact, they've pulled out of the cruise, the SPTV cruise.
I
Um,
suppose. Yeah. That one I know about, and
yeah,
I know that Marilyn has
in
getting
Maryland.
some weird shit also.
Yeah, and I think hers is mostly legal.
Well, they're trying
Tommy,
to find spots how to hurt because I know they're out to get Tommy in jail as example. So they try. So it sounds
yeah,
like someone is really trying to get those really sore spots on each and every one.
yeah, and to me, it is, let's talk junior high behavior. Like people are 13 and they're hiding behind their keyboards and their monitors because they're too goddamn scared to come out and actually talk to people and do it face to face online, just like we're doing right now.
Yeah,
They
but
don't
also I
have the
mean this
courage.
is even lower. This is like kindergarten level in my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you took my ball, so I'm going to smack you with a stick.
Yeah,
And I, I'm livid. I am livid about it.
I'm not a happy camper either because I find it mostly despicable and
Disgusting.
very, very cowardly.
Yes.
I mean, one of my favorite cartoons is Daffy Duck, when he says, "You're despicable."
Yes. Yes. But I mean, you think about it. Would these people, if they were face to face with Tommy and Reese or Marilyn, do you honestly think that they would say any of this stuff? No, they would smile, they would be friendly, they would not say a word
Do we
while
know
they
anything
stabbed
about
them in the
who is
back.
making these threats, or is
We don't
it like
know.
so it's like it's basically just chicken shit cowards, pardon my French.
Yes, it is. It is chicken shit cowardice to do this to Tommy and Reese. Now I'm not saying that it's a person within the community. For all I know, it could be your ex-husband and his cronies in the Moose Club or whatever the hell that he's in.
Well, those weird gestures or whatever, I mean, that's also a chapter of its own. I mean, what the kind of people think they have the right
Well, I
to
mean, it's
transcend human behavior, human what should I call
decency.
decency and plain simple common sense.
Yeah. Yes, it could be her ex, and he has a narcissistic personality.
Yep,
This
I
is
know.
typical narcissist behavior,
Yeah,
you know.
we
Um, but if it's someone in the community, what the hell has Reese and Tommy done? I mean, literally, they aren't involved in all this drama going on within the community. They don't even talk about it. They are a channel that you go to when you want to decompress from all of
I
this
would say this
garbage.
is sour grapes,
Are they
sort
mad
of.
because it wasn't their idea? Well, maybe
It
they're not
can.
that
I
funny.
mean, when I think about sour grapes, you know the expression. But first of all, Reese and Tommy has found their niche.
Yes.
They have. They are a success story in many
Yes.
ways because they deserve to be that.
Yes.
Marilyn is a success story because she has paid a
Busted her
hefty price for it
ass.
also,
She's
and she
busted her ass
deserves
to
it.
get there.
Yeah. I mean, Liz and Carrie, that couple has gone through hell and more,
Yes.
and they deserve everything they have.
Yes.
I mean, you have gone through lots of shit too, and I mean, we
Yeah.
have like Miss Kim, we have Cheryl, we have Aaron and Jenna, we have
Uh-huh.
William. I mean, so many people who have gone through so much hardships, and still there is someone out there thinking that they don't deserve it, or this person in some way, this person or these persons in some way have a bone to pick with them because why? I mean, it's one thing to threaten people, that's cowardice.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a bone to pick with someone, at least be a man or woman enough to say, this is been, what's my problem with you, or what's problem with the issue.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Speaking.
just threaten people will never solve anything.
No.
It's more like someone is feeding off installing fear, or that's more back to the narcissistic energies.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm 100% right,
No, am
but
I?
we are using our common sense. We are using, we have eyes, ears, we have a heart, we have
Mm-hmm.
empathy. I hope I have. Anyway, so I mean, we have a sense of humor.
Yes.
We try to, we are not slighting anything. We are not like trying to minimize anyone's feelings or anything. But thing is, some of this behavior is simply stupid. There is no other word for it in my vocabulary.
Well,
Otherwise,
I mean,
then we have to go into four-letter words.
yeah.
I think somewhere it's all about us keeping the eye on the target.
Mm-hmm. But,
Once
I,
again, someone's trying to distract people. Once again.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Trying to silence people.
Yeah,
And that's a cult. Okay? That's a cult. Cults
definitely a cult.
silence people. And whoever this is in the background working their little magic or whatever the heck they want to call it, they're trying to silence people. How are you any better than David Miscavige?
When I say Dave is a tiny man, that's purely based on his behavior
Mm-hmm.
and what he's projecting.
Yes.
His inner self is projecting.
Yes. I look at what we see going on within the community, and this is part of it, as a
Yeah,
microcosm of what's going on worldwide.
Yes.
Okay? People are right now so divided. It's my way or the highway, is their opinion. And they have no room for differing opinions. We see that in a worldwide way people are acting towards each other. And now we're seeing it within a smaller community of the way people are acting towards each other.
Yeah. One of the reasons I think people, first of all, lack patience, which
Mm-hmm.
is a key factor to this. Patience to listen, patience to digest things, or to wait, or just accept. It's like we see sometimes people demanding to know everything like this.
Yeah.
It's I call it the quick fix society where everything has to be solved with one push of a button.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the trap because that's how cults and demagogues and dictators work. They
Mm-hmm.
offer a quick, fast solution, but it has to be now. It's always this time pressure, this time crunch built in this. I would say that our society suffer for something I like to express as hyper stress.
Mm-hmm.
The expression I have built from is basically if you remember the first cars, you had a car,
Right.
then you had a fast car.
Mm-hmm.
So after a while, there were faster cars, but instead of calling them faster cars, you call them sports cars.
Mm-hmm.
Then you started to grade them in different classes because some classes were faster and stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Then after a while, when the sports was a big one, then all of a sudden came the super sports,
Right.
and then came all these others, and all these escalations has led up to now we have talking about hyper cars.
Mm-hmm.
So that said, before in the start of the industrial revolution, people worked from sunrise to sunset, and then they fixed things at home. We didn't have anything artificial. We had candles and stuff, but that was something we used more in the winter time.
Right.
So that meant we spent a certain time doing certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Then came the industry. We did more things in a shorter time, but that also meant people started to feel this pressure. Like when Taylor did his uh, famous and misused time studies, where he
Mm-hmm.
studied how much one moment took and how to combine the most fast and simplest way. That didn't take any kind of it. It didn't bother about the human aspect. It was purely machine
Right.
thinking, or like the conveyor belts and stuff like that.
Right. The
So
mass production.
mass production. Now it's everything so much faster. So with that said, what happens with the humans involved in this? Yes, for, from just being who you are, then people started to feel I'm busy,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was very busy and always very busy, and all of a sudden people started to feel that in their bodies, and expressions came like stress.
Yeah.
From that stress has just been wound up all the time. So from stressed, have gone to super stressed, and now to hyper stressed, and I don't know what the next level will be.
Dear God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that also means that the more stressed you are, the less you are using your frontal part of your brain,
Mm-hmm.
and the more you're using the most primitive parts of your
The
brain.
emotional part. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you have a big time constraint and big pressure on you to deliver on very short time,
Mm-hmm.
you don't think clearly.
No.
And I mean, that's one of the things why you and I do these
Mm-hmm.
clips in a very slow and deliberate pace.
Mm-hmm.
No one else sets the timetable but you and me.
Correct.
So that means also we have the time to think about things before we bring them to the table.
Yes.
So, with all this said, that means that there are some people trying to put stress and pressure on creators and protesters
Yes.
and those advocating for both protesters and creators. I mean, we have back to what we were talking about. I mean, this is a stressed society.
Yes.
People react to stress in different ways. Many
Agreed.
times it brings the most basic and animalistic instincts,
Okay.
fight or flight, or fawn,
Freeze. Yeah.
freeze. So I
Yeah.
mean, basically, it's the some kind of a battle mode for many
Mm-hmm.
people constantly.
Yeah, I think
And that's
we're
why
stuck
the
in it.
DSR is such a blessing for many. I mean, I saw the talk
Mm-hmm.
with Poe and
And Jamie. Yes.
Jamie and those, and I'm amazed.
Yeah.
So, with all that said,
Mm-hmm.
whenever someone feels like they are under pressure and someone is trying to pressure you, stress you, force you to do something in a pace that you are uncomfortable with,
Mm-hmm.
or feeling that this is not something I'm comfortable with, or this is not okay with me.
Yeah.
Listen to that gut feeling or that from your soul and your mind, because it's telling you something is wrong with this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
there are things that has to be done on short notice. That's one thing. That's called life.
Mm-hmm.
But when we get to these more complex things,
Mm-hmm.
and someone suddenly comes and says, I can solve everything, just do as I say.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think, just do as I say. Then we're into the cults and shit.
Yes. I think in some of what you were saying, I think part of it is the loss of some family values. Back in the day, and this is not against women, and my mother would have a fit if she heard me say this. But back in the day, there was a parent at home and there was a parent who worked, and people could live on a single income
Yeah,
easily. The parent could teach the child how you deal with certain things in certain situations. How do you react? What do you do? How do you deal with it? And I think that is something that as a society that has become, my generation was what we call latchkey kids.
I'm one
And
of them. I remember I
yes,
had always a key in a
exactly.
lanyard or something like that.
Yes. And then there was the generation of kids who were brought up in, because they couldn't be left alone because the laws started getting tough about, you must have somebody that's an adult, where kids got thrown into social situations that they may not have been able to handle. That's where some of the abuses occurred. They didn't have the protection of their parent, and they learned via social interaction with children their age and older and younger that you didn't it wasn't a case of talking to one another. It was a case of who had the bigger stick,
I,
you know.
if you like, I could add to that. I mean, I'm just looking. If you look at the historical perspective to this, I mean, the way you mention it, it reminded me of some things,
Mm-hmm.
as well as this development of the stress and time pressure.
Mm-hmm.
What was common was the big family,
Mm-hmm.
where you didn't have these watertight walls between generations or this age gapping that we do
Right.
today.
Right.
I mean, today people look more at age than the person's ability and knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So earlier, the elder generations took care of their kids while the able ones could work and
Right.
produce.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the elder could help educate
Yes.
the kids. So there was kind of a symbiosis.
Mm-hmm.
And same goes with the saying that it takes a village.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in a village, there were always oddballs and stuff like that, but people took care of each other.
Yes.
What happened then was when the villages broke up and people moved into these towns and cities,
Yeah.
everyone was strangers. They didn't know each other.
Mm-hmm.
So then the own family got much more important.
Yeah.
So from this big tribe, it became small camps spread out, even in a high-rise building. Every
Mm-hmm.
family was
You
one.
didn't know your neighbors.
You didn't know their neighbors. You couldn't trust them or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that has just got worse over time. I mean,
Yeah.
as long as people have the freedom to think and do what they want, as long as it doesn't break laws or hurt anyone or affect anyone else's rights, then it's fine in my book. But people started to feel lost, and they started to look for some kind of something to have in common.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we see in sports fans, we see in churches. So these churches and sports uh, uh, clubs and everything, they became like this new family. Or these schools,
Mm-hmm.
special schools, where the alumni became like a brotherhood or sisterhood, these
Mm-hmm.
sororities.
Mm-hmm.
All these are replacements of the basic big family
Village.
that we want,
The village.
the village in one sense.
Well.
And I think much of the problems in today's society has to do with the broken society, basically, that people feel they have no roots. The more insecure you are, the more prone you are to violence or to hide in some ways. It's
Mm-hmm.
either or.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, throw that into the equation we have here.
Mm-hmm.
Lonely people sitting in lonely rooms in front of a screen and a keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
Many people just want to be seen, validated, heard,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes feel like they are someone special to someone.
Mm-hmm. Adding to that, I think that as the elders cared for the children, they taught them manners.
Oh, yes.
And nowadays, parents are so stressed and so buried in their social medias and all that other stuff that they don't teach their kids manners anymore.
They don't have the time or the energy. And to defend the schools, the parents expect way much from the schools, but they don't deliver themselves many times.
Yeah,
Because
or
before you send your kids to school, you should prepare them for what school is.
mhm.
But many
Or
times they
they,
just
you
throw
know,
them in.
yeah, or they, if the school does try to teach some of these values, then the parents come breathing down the teacher's throat because it's not their values. And
Exactly.
what I look at is that these days and I would say for the past couple of generations, is that the kids show disrespect and lack of manners, and they are screaming in the back seat, and just to shut them up, mom drives into McDonald's and gives them a Happy Meal. So they're getting positive reinforcement from acting like jerks,
And
and
when
that
these kids
moves.
grow up, they
Yeah.
expect that their kids get the same benefits.
Yes.
And they also keep acting entitled.
Yes. And that's the issue, is that if you continually give children positive reinforcement, and when they grow up to be jerks as adults, whose fault is it?
Yeah. And then this is a generational misconduct. If we
Yes.
use that expression, I mean, why not?
And this what we're seeing in these threats and these backstabbings and all this garbage going on behind people's backs, is a result of the lack of teaching these people manners at a young age,
And
and
yeah,
positively reinforcing bad behavior.
and I would add to that also that when no one teaches them to respect a no, or limits, or borders, or limitations,
Yes.
when they are feeling entitled, they lose respect for others and other people's needs or
Yeah.
emotions or feelings.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
It's all about them.
it's all about them. And
So are we
that's
building a
also,
narcissistic society? I mean, is that what we're heading towards?
we are there already,
Well, I
sadly to
think we're
say.
there
I
already
mean,
as well.
just look what sells. I mean, nothing bad about Kardashians, but what are they selling? They're selling looks. It's all about looks and
Yeah.
items and stuff. Love Island, Survivor, all these are about voting out people.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Not
about
including.
not including. All of them are to be excluding people.
Yes.
And people, is there something people are afraid of instinctively, by instinct? It is to be excluded and not be a part of. So I mean,
Agreed.
I mean, is if that's entertainment to me, that's basically bullying commercialized.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have nothing against the way people look or the way they want to dress, or if someone is beautiful and can make a buck of it, fine.
Fine.
But you can never put those ideas on everyone. It's like when teenagers start to consider about plastic surgery and shit. That just mind boggles.
Yeah. Mind blown.
Yeah,
You know.
so I mean, we are touching, we are jumping from many little rocks in this big pool. If you,
Mm-hmm.
that's the way of my thinking. I mean, I may jump from one thing to another, to another, to another, but when you look at the big picture, I think you see any what to show you this
Mm-hmm.
area. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these bullies or cowards,
Most bullies
because
are.
that's what they are.
Yeah. Most bullies are cowards.
Yeah, I can understand that they feel left out. I can understand that they feel envious or wishing they had something more, or they
And they've
feel
been
aggrieved that they
mistreated.
didn't get.
Yeah, maybe they've been mistreated within their family. Maybe there's some abuse, that which is, I think abuse is rampant
Oh,
these days,
yes.
and
And
it
also,
comes from.
abusers tend to be the worst abusers themselves. I
Yeah.
mean, I can tell I was pretty much, I had a pretty good time in school anyway. I had some that were really nasty to me.
Oh yeah.
And my way of doing that was to look after someone else to be nasty to. So I haven't been the best kid myself.
Hey, well, that's
But
kids.
but that's kids. And there's always some kind of what you call a pecking order.
Yes, but
The
when
more
it
you grow.
Yeah, but when it transfers, that mentality transfers into adulthood, there's a problem.
There's a big problem in that. And I think people are not learning about consequences. There are no consequences for some people. They don't
But
know
people are
about
anonymous.
accountability either.
Yeah, people are anonymous sitting behind this screen. You and I are not anonymous, short of the fact that we don't use our real names.
Well,
Okay?
I use my first name, so
You do use your
everyone
first
knows
name.
my name. But
And everybody
then
knows mine.
again,
Everybody knows me as Sin. But the reality of it is a lot of people are anonymous and they feel like because of that anonymity, they can do things and won't get caught.
and sometimes they don't realize what they're doing online is illegal, or
Yeah.
if they would do the same thing to someone next door, they'd be sitting in jail now.
Yes. Yes.
And also, I mean, anony- anonymity is a good thing to have,
Sometimes.
but it's just freedom with responsibilities.
Hmm.
Because, like China, as example,
Hmm.
they are really,
Pardon me while I take some meds. My
yeah, it's
meds are
okay. I
running
mean,
out.
it's your time for that. I already took mine. So, like China has much more strict rules about, they are clamping down because they want to have more control over certain things in their social media and stuff.
Hmm.
So they don't allow the same levels of anonymity.
Right.
If you go to North Korea, there is none.
There is
I
none.
mean,
Yeah.
in a way, there's always this balance between freedom and oppression, but we have to deserve the freedoms.
Hmm.
Some people take it for granted and misuse their freedoms.
Yes.
That's the problem. The more they misuse the freedoms, the more they give ammunition for those wanting to take those freedoms away from
Away.
everyone.
Yes. Yes. Agreed. I mean, are we moving to a world where, we can't make anonymous tips when we know something, or we can't, our privacy is out there for the world because some people have abused the privilege of having privacy.
It's like when they start to trace whistleblowers, because in one, I'm not going to throw in politics, but I mean, when you hear people in very high positions
Hmm.
first talk about freedom of speech and everything, and the next moment want to know who said that, and how did that came to be knowledge.
When you use that anonymity to threaten people that you disagree with, that is taking it too far. If you
That
don't
is
have,
to abuse it simply, in my book.
yeah, if you don't have the balls to confront somebody, what you're going to do is do something behind their back and threaten them to try and silence them. There's something wrong with that picture.
There's
Very
and
wrong.
also that person might be in serious need of help.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, mental health is something that has been got worse and worse, especially since we don't take care of each other in the same ways we used to.
Well,
That's
yeah.
also one of the losses from when we lost the old villages
Hmm.
and those people to turn to. I mean, in the old villages, we had the old sages and the wise men and wise women. Many times, even before the religions came into play the same way, there were always people you could turn to, like advisors or people that they were wise, experienced, and they knew
Hmm.
how to handle things. So many times they could mediate and everything. Today, too much ends up in the court system with paid for agents, as I say, when it comes. Lawyers are important in one sense, but there's also some of that is totally sick and twisted.
Yeah. I mean, I agree that everyone has a right to legal representation. Okay.
Absolutely.
Even if you know you've done something heinous, you have the right to legal representation. The thing is, the attorney knows that you've done it. You've confessed to that. That's attorney-client privilege. They're aware of it. The reality of it is it's kind of their job to say to you, you know, really and truly, if you did this, you need to pay the piper. Let's just see if we can knock it down a little bit. You
That
know?
would be the most normal, but today it has become a game
Yes.
for some,
And
that it's all about winning, not about the truth, not about
yeah.
justice, not
Yeah.
about taking accountability. And that's also part of the problem.
Mhm.
When people can pay their way out of what they have done, or think that they can slip by,
Mhm.
that's why we have these problems. Because
Yeah.
when people don't feel that they will pay for what they've done,
Mhm.
I mean, it's not like we have standing above them with a doom hammer or anything, but it has to do with the fairness of it. I mean,
Yeah.
one of Newton's laws is, with to each
For
action
every
there is
action, equal
opposing
and opposite reaction.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and
Um.
that should be in everything. You
Yeah.
can't just disable those laws that don't fit you.
Yeah. I mean, if you unalive somebody, you know you've done it.
Yes,
Okay. The law has gathered evidence to show that you've done it. Yet you are, for some reason, saying, I'm going to take my chances in court of law, and you force somebody who knows you've done it to do everything they can to get you off. And if they don't, then they get in trouble.
that reminds me of the movie The Devil's Advocate.
Mm-hmm.
But then we're back again to this. I mean, today people don't want to take it. That's because we're going back to these kids that never got to learn limits, or what's fair, how
Mm-hmm.
to behave,
Or
what
consequences for that matter.
consequences what you're doing. I mean, it's not about abusing kids, it's not about using violence or oppressing kids, but a, a child must learn what no means, and
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't mean you're hurting the kid. It's not about you have to use violence to teach the kid. It's just that they know this is how far we go. If you keep doing, then there will be consequences. It's
Mm-hmm.
not about being bad to a child, but it's because you need to prepare this kid. If you don't
For
set
life.
those boundaries, someone else might do, or
Mm-hmm.
this kid will end up way worse than
Yes.
they would need.
And that's what we're seeing, in society today. I mean, back in the day when it was campfires, the parents, I mean, if a kid reached into a fire, they found out it was, ouch, it was hot.
Yep.
Okay. These days, the kid reaches into the fire, the person grabs their hand, and then, oh, it's hot. You don't want to touch that. But we didn't have any consequences for that.
Or they will even sue someone that allows the kids to come that close to the fire,
Yes.
because that's
Yes.
the way it has
It's their
been.
fault, not the fact that the child was curious and didn't discover that there was a consequence for that.
Exactly. And the
You know.
parents in that case, or whatever, they have in their twisted mind, they think they are entitled.
Hmm. And that breeds what we're seeing in society today. It breeds the higher crime rates, the fact that, kids, they don't understand that when you use a pew pew against a person, that person doesn't get up again and pew pew back at you.
It's life is not a game in that sense.
No.
I
So
mean,
while mentally they understand that pew-pewing somebody could very definitely unalive them, they don't understand the consequence of doing that in a real life situation.
yeah,
And it's the same with, what we're seeing here. Words mean something.
words matter, and that's what we keep saying.
And so you need to be aware of the words that you use.
And I think many people forget also what the effect of what they're doing and saying has on other people, because they don't understand they don't understand the reality of what they're doing really. To
Mm-hmm.
them it might be a game, to them it might be something exciting, or just a way to blow steam,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't realize how hard that can affect someone. It can ruin someone's life.
Yeah. I mean, the idea of planting drugs on a former felon in international waters where there is no real law. I mean, that's the only area where there is no real law.
I mean, maritime law is very, very basic.
Yes. Um, and making that threat, I mean, do they not understand the full consequences of those words? What that could do? I mean, there are shows on television that talk about being arrested in countries other than the United States and how barbaric those conditions are.
And in some of those countries, I mean, basically they were they were forced to have that harsh punishments because that was their only way to at least
I mean, here in the
lower. I mean,
States,
look at Central America, look at northern parts of South America. I mean,
mm-hmm.
Honduras and Venezuela and
Oh, yeah,
Colombia and Ecuador, all these countries. I mean, wonderful, lovely
wonderful countries.
countries. Lots of prisons with gangs because poverty has driven people to do stupid things.
Mm-hmm.
And once you're caught in that hamster wheel, there is no exit.
Yeah. I
So, I
mean,
mean, some people grow or born in prison, live in prison, die in prison.
mm-hmm. And you think about it. Here in the United States, you're innocent until proven guilty. That's the statement, okay?
That's a
In
statement, but not in the
other
public's
countries,
opinion.
not always, but
No.
in other countries, because you're tried on public opinion a lot of times here in the States, but in other countries, you're guilty and until proven innocent. And
Especially in more
third world,
authoritative countries.
yeah, third world countries.
Yeah.
But even so, imagine going into, you know, Tommy is just enjoying a cruise. He goes on an excursion into Cozumel.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, just that simple.
Yeah.
Someone has planted drugs on him
And then tips off.
and then tips off the law enforcement. Do you have any idea what kind of prison Tommy would be put into and how long? I mean, let's think about the Marine who made a wrong turn, ended up in Mexico, and was 20 years before he even got a trial because he took his service weapon that he has to carry with him at all times across the border. Okay?
Yeah.
That kind of threat is what you're doing to Tommy.
And also considering that how to reach someone that can help you. I mean, and
Yeah.
then again, the local representatives. I mean, some countries don't have representation in every country because some countries
Exactly.
are not in the best relation with each other.
Well, the United States and Venezuela is a really good example of that.
Yeah. So also then the United States will probably have a look. Okay, so who is this guy?
Hmm.
Oh, ex-con. Okay, not that important to them.
Yeah.
I mean, it
And
was
we're
like when,
talking, the other guy was a Marine. I mean,
yeah,
obviously, the guy was going to be important to the military.
yeah,
Okay. And it took him, well, I don't know if it was 20, but it took him quite a few years before he even started to get a trial, much less the United States finally got him out of there. And his condition when he came out of there was deplorable. And then there's the guy from, where was it, North Korea, who took a poster off a wall.
yeah.
And
That
you
was
saw
not.
how he died, you know?
There are so many stories and so many examples of horror stories, really, in my book.
Yes. And to make a threat like that to a ex-convict who knows he goes back one more time, he's not coming out.
And I mean, Tommy specifically, I mean, I don't know him personally,
I don't either.
but I have grown to know things about him
Yes.
and the way he does things.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, he's a very genuine, honest person.
He has turned his life around.
I mean, he owns up to everything he has done.
Yes, he
He,
does.
he deserves a clean slate. And here's someone trying to throw him back just because they feel they have the power to do it.
Because they don't
And for what?
agree.
Why? What's the motivator?
It's their little hurt feelings.
Or has he stepped on someone's toes, or is it back to someone else had interest in Reese and they want to remove him out of the picture because they think they can step in, or what? I
Or
mean, there
get
are so
back,
many. I don't
you
know
know.
because I mean, Reese has been out about a year and a half.
Yeah.
She's in very early recovery from all what she's gone through. She's done amazing this far
Yes.
in this short time,
She has come
but
so
she
far.
has much, much, much more to deal with before
Yes.
she's even close to be done. And Tommy knows so much about life. And I mean, both he and his brother, his son, the whole
Mm-hmm.
family there are very empathic and very caring,
Mm-hmm.
and they really live to help people.
Mm-hmm.
So why treat these people the way some people try to do? It
Yeah.
doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. Mm-hmm.
It's the choices we do, the
Mm-hmm.
decisions we make that will define who we are.
Mm-hmm.
So people posting threats, especially as anonymous people do. I mean, it's like Marilyn said today, kiss my biscuits.
Yes. Let's go back to Marilyn as well. I mean, she's getting threat. This is a cult survivor as well, albeit a different cult, but
Still,
she's a cult survivor.
yeah,
She's been out a while. I'm sure she's gotten therapy, as far as I know she has. Marilyn, all she wants to do is protect the second generations, wants to
she,
be
fe-
a buffer.
I mean, she feels affinity with people who has been treated bad. She has lots of empathy. I mean, I've
Yes.
seen so many wonderful people, both in chats and some people I've seen also live, and a few I've had the pleasure to even talk to on
Yes.
lives or stuff like that. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, for that, I'm humbly grateful. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I've learned more and more about the various people. I mean, so I'm getting to know people better and better. And I mean, there is a form of trauma bonding. Yes, we share similar experience, and so that means we don't have to explain everything to another person because if you have been forced to do that a certain amount of times,
Mm-hmm.
it gets tiresome because basically you have to rip
Yeah.
those bandages off all the time just to show these scars that someone doesn't understand
Right.
or want some kind of proven evidence of. So
Mm-hmm.
someone who's gone through similar things can understand you in a similar way.
Right.
So for us, this is a healing journey where we try to help others heal also.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes me just more angry and irritated at people who try to hurt these people because I see no serious gains in doing this to others unless it is to protect these cults. And in that case, those
Yeah.
cults are really need
Yeah.
to get taken out and taken
Yeah.
down.
I mean, if a cult will resort to threats, and you know, we don't know where these threats are coming from. Obviously, the threat to Maryland is to take down anything against the Aftermath Foundation. That's what the threat is, or it sounds like legal action, is the way she talked about it.
And
Um,
that sounds so ridiculous because I mean, you and me, we support both Aftermath and SPTV Foundation. The
yes,
more the more help out, the better. But
yes,
it's up to each foundation how they behave,
yes,
and each foundation has to keep their own front porch clean.
yes,
So I mean, if someone is trying to act in behalf of the Aftermath, then the Aftermath need to go and tell that guy or girl or whatever we want to call it, that individual, to say, hey, cut it out. That's not us. That's not the way we handle things.
right, right.
Because in the long run, the Aftermath Foundation is created to help. And I
Mhm.
hope they will keep continuing doing that.
And somebody doing something like this on their behalf is damaging to them in reality. I mean, we really have to consider that.
That is really collateral damage again.
Yes, exactly. It is damaging to their reputation, and it could get legally damaging to them.
Yeah. And if there's someone who has mistaken their importance or their role in this foundation, they really need to take a deep think about what are they really there for? What are they doing?
Yes.
Because that foundation is not a cult.
No.
That foundation is to help people, not to be a little club of
Yeah.
mutual admiration.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I
mean,
mean, you can be friends inside a foundation, but always put the mission and the target of why the organization is created first.
yes. It's not a case of somebody coming out and I speak for the foundation. Well, even in being anonymous and throwing these threats out, in a way you are speaking for the foundation, because it doesn't take a rocket scientist to have someone say, I've been told to remove all videos I've done concerning the Aftermath Foundation. It doesn't take a rocket science to add, well, obviously the Aftermath Foundation could very easily be behind this. You know how damaging that is to the very foundation that whoever this is trying to
And I think, to be
assist.
honest, I don't think it's Aftermath Foundation.
I don't either. I think it's somebody.
I think it's Scientology because the way Scientology always does is to try to pit people against each other. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
first they had like the Aftermath Foundation as the main opponent. Now
right,
they have the SPTV too. So they thought, hmm, why not put these two so we don't have to put as much effort? If we can make these fight, then we can just sit back and
sit
have
back
some
and watch.
popcorn.
And that's one of the things that has been said a lot. I've heard a lot is that, we as a group, as a community, as a protest and advocacy group, are doing so much infighting that Scientology doesn't have to do a damn thing. We're doing it to ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, David can sit there in his couch with a big
And
bowl of
watch.
popcorn and just,
Yep. And watch it implode. And
yeah.
is that really what we want to do? Are we really to the point where we'd rather see each other canceled over canceling Scientology?
People should start to think, is this really who we are?
Yeah.
What are we doing? Are we really helping those we claim we want to help?
Yeah.
Or have we kind of tripped into someone's sandbox? And
And there's nothing saying that there aren't people within this community that Scientology has put within this community to create the
of
situations that we
course,
have now.
I mean, it only makes sense
Mm-hmm.
because the nefarious ways they work.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, same would be if, let's say, we could plant this seed just to piss them off. I mean, who doesn't say that we have sent in people inside their organization to start to tell
Yeah.
people that there's a way out?
Yeah. I mean, who's to say? I
Yeah.
don't think that we have. It's been pretty. I know nothing about it if that's the case. But and
Well,
even
we
if I
have
did,
people
I
under
wouldn't
the
say
radar.
anything.
That's much we know. But just, I mean, two can play this game.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, are we looking at the people who are causing the most dissent, whoever they are? We don't know every one of them.
Oh no.
Um, we have thoughts about a few people,
Yes.
but the reality of it is we don't know everybody who might be involved.
No.
And
And rather than just pointing fingers and throwing out accusations like yesterday's paper, it's much better to keep we keep the cards close to ourselves.
mhm,
And I mean, there is so much to learn, so much to know, to observe and see happening. So I mean, that's why you and me kind of we are sitting on our side table and watching what's going on and
mhm,
giving this from the side perspective or from the above
mhm.
because we see it from a different perspective than many of these people that are in the middle of it.
Yes. I
I mean,
mean,
a battlefield looks very different from above than for those
who are
one
actually
fought
fighting.
in the battle.
Yeah. And the battle is not the battle against Scientology right now. The battle is the battle against the sides being taken within the community.
I see no reason for these skirmishes, really.
I don't either.
After all, people should remember what are we here for?
Yeah.
Eyes on the prize. Let's get those cults out in the
People,
daylight.
yeah.
Let's get them exposed. Let's see them melt like snow in spring.
Yeah. And everybody we're talking to, if your true purpose is to stop Scientology and these other cults, then and you're fighting with each other over how to do it, what you're doing is pushing the movement, pulling the movement back from the final goal. Because you have to think about those people who are watching, who are on that edge.
Yeah.
They're looking at what's going on here and going, holy crap, do I really want to get involved in that?
No, I wouldn't. And then also, you're not here for the clout. You're not here for the honor or to get a diploma. You are here because you decided you don't like what this cult does.
To people.
You want to help people. You want to help them out.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to see anyone else trapped in this living hell. So, I mean, anyone thinking that it's for their ego, it's like when Mitch Brisky comes running, I wrote the book, buy my book. Come
Mm-hmm.
on.
Really? Yeah. I have the
There will
same issue.
always be people who are self-serving,
Mhm.
but those kind of sort out themselves in the long run. Most
Mhm.
important is be honest. And
Mhm.
if you feel someone isn't honest, either say to their face or stop listening to them.
Mhm.
I
Walk
mean,
away.
I don't force anyone. I don't force anyone to subscribe to you or me, but I would be happy if someone does,
Yes.
as long as you feel I offer something of value for you. Same goes for
Mhm.
my friend here.
Mhm.
But
I mean, think about it. If you don't agree with someone, and you might not always agree with DJ or I or another creator, there might be times where you say, "No, I don't quite agree with that assessment." You have the right to rebuttal. You're welcome to email me and say, "Look, I don't necessarily agree with you, and let me tell you why." And I'll say, "Sure, let's go on and let's talk about it.
yeah,
Let's discuss this."
I
Okay?
mean that's a thesis, an idea, a counter idea, and the combination where you kind of sort the differences out and you have
Or
something.
or agree to disagree. I
Yeah.
mean,
And I mean,
you know,
also remember you are the amalgamation of all your experiences and knowledge you have gathered through your life.
mhm,
That means the filter you have for the information you receive is your personal. It can never be the same as someone else's.
mhm,
So that means you are bound to have a personal view the same way as I have for myself.
mhm.
And that's what we're applying to this. That's why we are two and not one talking all the time about
Right,
one thing.
right, right. And then, here's the thing. If you disagree with me, you know, I'm not going to give you, if you decide to go on to your channel and make a video about how you disagree with what I'm saying, fine. And if you want to use clips from any video that I put up, fine. I'm not going to hit you with a copyright strike.
Hmm.
I'm not. Okay? You have the right to have a different opinion than me.
But
Okay?
then we see also those that just are out to cash in on other people's content, like
Now, if
some
you're doing
people.
that's a different story.
Yeah.
But if
But
you're,
as long as it's an honest
mm-hmm,
use of what we produce
mm-hmm,
or offer you, as long
yeah,
as people are, because I have nothing to gain from lying to anyone. I have
no.
nothing to gain to twist things because I rather remember the things I remember because then I know that's true, that's true, that's true. Not
In my eyes,
all of a
that's
sudden I get
true.
caught.
Yes.
Oh, did I say that? No,
And you have to realize it's truth is in the eye of the beholder, okay? So
always.
whatever is true to me may not necessarily be true to you, but it's my truth,
And that
okay?
always has to be respected.
Right? And I mean, DJ and I don't always agree.
That's
We've had a few
that's impossible.
conversations.
That's
We've had a few
impossible.
conversations where the two of us don't agree,
Yeah.
you know? Um, but we talk to each other like adults. I have been known to say respectfully, I agree to disagree. And he said the same thing to me.
Because that's the
Um,
way adult people act.
right. To say, to have a situation where you don't agree with somebody and then you go behind their back and start talking little crap, trying to discredit that person without talking to the person that you disagree with.
I mean, if you can stand up for your opinions or just stating, okay, I can't agree with that. If you're
Right.
so afraid of that person that you have to run behind that person's back, then you
And
have a
discredit them.
problem.
There's
Then
a
you have a
problem.
problem.
You have, as a human being, the right to your opinion.
Always. That's
You
called
have
freedom of thought and
exactly.
expression.
Okay? You have the right to your opinion. You have the right to civil discourse. You have the right to go to that person and say, I don't agree with you, and this is why. They have a right to say, I hear what you say, but I don't agree with the way you're seeing it. And you talk about it. And if you can't come to some sort of consensus, then you agree to disagree and move on.
And then we come back to my expression about algebra.
Mm-hmm.
There can be no truth, one truth, or several true solutions.
Right.
So I mean, it's like the story about the blind man who found the elephant and touched different parts, and one touched the legs and thought, "This is a tree."
Mm-hmm.
One found the trunk and thought, "This is a snake," and
Mm-hmm.
so on. I mean, well, so
You
you
know,
have to kind of also remember where people are coming from and try to see the other person's perspective. And that can also mean that there will be situations where you can't agree with someone, and
yeah.
it's fine because sometimes your personal interests are not the same as the other person's. That means you are motivated by different things and have different goals, but you have always the right to respect another person. You always have that.
You have the duty to respect another person. Try to talk it out. I mean, my God, it's not that hard to do. It really isn't. And a lot of times you will discover that if you actually talk it out with a person, you discover that a lot of times y'all are talking about the same thing and coming at it the same way. It's just you're saying it in different ways.
I mean, sometimes you enter a maze from different openings, but still you end up in the same center.
Yeah. And to resort to threats just because you don't agree
That
is,
is, that's very immature also because that is like, I have to be the one who's right. No one else has the right to be right. Or
mhm,
if some person needs to feel like their opinion is the only one valid,
mhm,
that speaks more about that person having some kind of personal issues or problems that should be looked into, or that
mhm.
person should talk to someone who can help that person
Yeah,
because
you're not always going to be right.
you can't. That's why we keep learning,
Mhm.
because if you knew everything from start,
Oh my
life
God.
would be boring.
Oh well, no kidding.
Every day I learn something, or I discover something, or I find something like a new song or a new trick in a game. I like gaming a lot, or I found this new remix of a song that gives me some kind of a feeling of well-being because now I've discovered something new.
Something
Or like
exciting.
listen to Brian read a new poem and discover, that's interesting. I never thought it that way, but that gave me a little aha moment.
Aha moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Or
And
like
it's
you
exciting
coming
that
with me
way.
with the recipe and say, if you try this instead of just using that, and
Yeah.
I try that, and hey, this is a new experience.
Yes.
To be open to change, to be open to new possibilities instead of being boxed in a narrow little box that you put yourself in because that's your safe space.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's to put yourself in a mental prison. Who
Yeah.
wants to be there?
Yeah. Not me.
Not
So I
me.
mean, I guess what we're trying to say here is that if you disagree with somebody, talk to them civilly. Don't get nasty. Don't get pissy. Just talk to them.
Thing. Unless
Mhm.
someone is paying you to post these
To be
threats.
nasty. Well,
Yeah, and
then there's
then
that.
then we are
But
starting to think about who's gaining from your efforts and your
mhm,
time and you putting yourself at risk because sooner or later these
we're gonna
threats
find out.
will be found out who's posting these threats or sending them because
Yeah.
these kind of people always think they're smarter than those they're threatening. And once you think you're smarter than others, that's when you
That's when
start
you
to
make
slip up
mistakes.
and make
That's when you make
mistakes.
mistakes. Yeah. Folks, seriously, don't resort to threats. Don't send nasty grams. I mean, yeah, you can be mad. You can write your nasty gram, but don't ever send it because it makes. I do that all the time. It makes me feel better when I write a nasty gram and I don't send it. At
It's
least
a big difference to vent things. It's another thing to focus that hot steam at someone else, because that will damage someone just
right.
because you need to get that steam off you.
Be adults. Talk to people. Have some sort of civil discourse. Be nice. Be
Be honest
kind.
to
It's
yourself. What
free.
are you doing really?
Assess what you're doing and how it's affecting others within the community, how it's
And
affecting the
also
community in a
remember what
whole.
we spoke of before. If you feel that you don't have time enough to think about what you're saying, and you're just reacting, and not thinking,
Mm-hmm.
step back, because then you're on a very dangerous path.
Guys, let's stop with all these stupid threats and all of this whatever the heck is going on in the background. All this little twittering. You
Get
know,
out of that sandbox in the kindergarten.
oh,
That's not
good
where you
lord,
belong.
yeah. Get out of that 3-year-old mentality and become an adult. Act like an adult.
Take responsibility and realize everything you do has consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Try to get the rewards instead of being afraid of being found out and being punished,
Mm-hmm.
because that's why you're being anonymous. If you would be brave enough and honest enough to stand up with your own name, then you
and
also would get some replies,
and you
or you could
might get a
actually
little
talk things through.
respect.
Yeah,
And you
but
might get a little respect because right now, you people that are back there in the background, twittering away and making these threats, I have zero respect for you.
if you can't stand up for who you are and why, then you have no say either, really, in my
Mm,
book.
no, no, none. You know, so grow up, folks.
Get out of that sandbox. It's my turn.
Until we see you guys again, y'all think about what we're saying. If you have any questions, comments, anything like that, put them down in the comments area. We do read those.
We
And
do take the liberty of either answering or not answering if we
yes,
deem them simply redundant or.
yes, we do. But feel free to comment, like, subscribe. DJ has his channel. Make sure you go to this channel. It's DJ Nico, aka Nikolai. He does a lot of different stuff. He's big into gaming, so he does a lot of gaming work. We also do a lot of this. He's got a series on chronic pain that we're fixing to do another piece on. Series that I think people will enjoy. It's called Protesting versus Activism. What that means to people, and how they work to help each other. And so we're going to be working on that. And the two of us, this is something that we do together,
Yeah.
and just kind of to help each other's channels out. So this is DJ's channel. Make sure you like and subscribe to him.
But most
What I got.
important, think about what we have been talking about. We
Definitely,
don't sit
please.
here just to waste oxygen. I mean, we
No.
do care about each and every one of you, even if you're feeling that you have to be anonymous. And I mean, if you feel like someone has wronged you or someone has treated you badly, there will
Yeah.
always be help, one way or another.
think about what we've said. Give us your comments, any thoughts, ideas, even if you disagree. Put them down there. If
And
you don't
also
want to,
use
go
that
ahead.
like or dislike. I mean, we
Yes.
don't expect you to like everything we say.
No.
That's
No.
impossible.
No.
But
If you don't like what we,
do interact with us. If you have
yeah.
wasted this much time on us,
Mm-hmm.
at least do that
Yeah.
for
Just
yourself.
interact. And if you don't want to put something public in the comments, you have my email. I put it up at the very beginning, and
And you also
you're
can reach me through my email that's found on my page
on
info.
his
So,
page. So if you want to talk to one of the two of us, please reach out, and we are more than willing to talk to you. Again, we hope you enjoyed our content, and please let us know in the comments. Use your like and subscribe buttons, and we will see you for the next installment of Collateral Damage. Y'all have a great day. Y'all don't forget to stop by my merch store for Oh Hell No merch at cindy-1-shop.fourthwall.com. Get you your Oh Hell No merch.